Welcome to Guns and Gear Network, everyone. Appreciate you tuning in. Today we're going to discuss communications for overlanding and trail riding. Stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. So today we're going to briefly discuss radio communications when it comes to overlanding / off-roading. If you follow my channel or subscribe to my channel, you know I've done quite a few videos on communication. So if you want to get some little more details about some of this stuff we're going to discuss, there's some other videos that I've created in the past that's a little more detailed. A lot of the communication videos I did was more leaning towards the prepping and survival communities, but and there's some parallels between the two, so you'll be fine listening to that information too. This is more specific, and the reason this came up, this video and this topic, a lot of the forums and Facebook pages that I participate on, one of the first questions that pops up a lot of times you'll see throughout any given week is what radio should I get, ham or CB? And you got people from both sides of it, both camps. You got some guys, oh, get a CB. The other guys, no, you got to get a ham. Ham's the only way to go, or whatever. And so one of the questions came up the other day, and I did answer it, and that's why I'm doing the video. So I'll tell you how I answered it. And my answer was, when he asked specifically, ham or CB radio, which one should I get for my overlanding truck? And my answer was both. However, I also went into detail. Depends on what you want to accomplish here. But you can also do it without breaking the bank, and that's why I want to talk about it today, to how to kind of get you into both without going, spending tons of money. So if I had to choose one only, it would be the CB radio. And I know there's some arguments against that, but I'll tell you why I decided that's the best for me, and I think it's the best for most people if you really think about it. The CB radio, Citizens Band it's called, it has 40 channels, been around for a long time. It was very popular in the 70s and 80s kind of thing, kind of faded out. It's beginning to get a little more popular because of the overlanding and off-road scene now. A lot of people are getting back into owning one at least. But back in the day, that's kind of how you communicated, because there was really no cell phones like there is now. So a lot of people had base units they used at their home, things like that. And that's how you communicated, just for pleasure, right? Just kind of goofing around. Maybe some of it was emergency needs or whatever. But for the most part, it was just talking. The thing about it is, though, there's a lot more people with CB radios and ham radios. And the reason I know this is because all these truckers and semi-trucks you see around, 90% of those have a CB radio in them. Even like some of your dump truck operators and just some, straight truck operators and all that have CB radios. And there's a lot more communication going on about what's going on around you on CB than there ever was ham. And I say that, and what I mean by that is general information. So major catastrophes, tornadoes, forest fires, terrorist attacks, your ham radios start getting used more often. But for general usage of what's going on around you, the CB radio is much more useful. Whether it be traveling on the roads, telling you that, hey, they may even just tell you that there's a cop sitting, so-and-so road or interstate clocking traffic, so you don't want to get a ticket. Excuse me, guys. It could be they're telling you about, there's riders in the street blocking this road, or there's an accident, or there's a vehicle on fire, or there's a big brush fire, or whatever the case. The CB radio, much more useful in my opinion. Everywhere I go, I turn my CB radio on in my truck. I don't turn my ham radio on, and I have both. I have a hard mount, nicer ham radio, as well as a hard mount CB. So my answer to that gentleman, when he asked it specifically, I said get both, but get a hard mount, good quality CB, and then get a portable ham radio. That way you have the best of both worlds. So in overlanding, there's about 3 or 4 different styles of radios or frequencies that people talk about. So you have CB, ham, GMRS, and then MERS. So GMRS, you don't have to have a license. Ham, you do. Well, let me take that back. GMRS, you have to have a license, but you don't have to take a test to get the license. Ham radio, you have to have a license and you have to sit for a test to get it. It's not overly difficult, but you do have to do it to legally be able to talk on ham radio. I'm not going to get into the big morality thing or, sergeant safety here about using ham radio or whatever radio, I don't care, without proper licensing, okay? It's something you're just going to have to risk and make your own mind up whether you're going to choose to do it or not. But at the end of the day, they can find you, they can locate you, and then there's some pretty big fines and stuff involved with it if you would cause enough problems or issues where they took that much effort to find you. I promise you they're going to fine you with some kind of fine. It's a civil penalty up to like $10,000 fines. So anyway, with that said, this radio here is called the Baofeng UV5R, the one right here. A lot of people are immediately going to say, oh, don't waste your money on the Baofeng, get you like a Yazoo or whatever the radio there of their choice that they think's better than a Baofeng. I hear you, and I somewhat agree with you that there are much better radios out than the Baofeng. However, the Baofeng has probably been the most prolific radio of all of ham radio history. There's been more people now have access to ham, may not be ham operators, but at least have access to ham because of this radio. It's really cheap. It was, when it first came on the market, it was still cheap, but now today, I can buy this radio for like $30, including shipping to my door off of eBay or Amazon, either one. I can put 120 channels in this. So this particular radio, before I got my hard mount, this particular radio, I put in my FJ. It has emergency service channels programmed in, local EMS, fire, that kind of thing, so I can monitor that. It has weather stations. It has GMRS, FRS, MERS. It has ham frequencies, of course. I think I even have the local radio for the radio frequencies for the local railroad system here. So, very versatile radio. Now, am I supposed to use GMRS with this radio? No, it's too powerful, blah, blah, blah. Again, won't get into all the, if and ands and buts about, doing stuff like that. But would I use it on GMRS? Yes, and I have, and I'll probably continue to do it again. But I'm not going to cause any problems with that. If it became a problem, I would then address it and fix it and do something different. But as of now, it's not I've never caused a problem and never plan to. So this one right here is called the Baofeng 888S, so 888S. And it only has 16 channels, and you have to use a programming cable to program it, whereas this one, I do not. I can use it on the keypad to program it. This one, which is much easier with a programming cable, by the way, and the Chirp software. This one, you have to have the software, but it's actually specific to the 888S, and then a programming cable. This radio here, you can buy bundle packs of those things, literally like 10 of them for $112 or something crazy. I mean, they're dirt cheap. They're good, durable radios. I guarantee you, if you look around, there's tons of businesses, hospitals, schools. My kid's school uses these radios. I've seen them everywhere. I seen a local police department with a radio like these, believe it or not, the other day. A detective had one. Couldn't believe it. So that's what I'm saying. They're decent little radios for the money. Nothing wrong with them. But this one here, I've got probably 12 of these. So I can take these, program them with GMRS, FRS. I think that one's GMRS, FRS, MERS, and maybe something else. I've got a few of different styles of channels programmed in. And the reason I do that is because this one radio, I can talk to a bunch of different styles of radios out, except for CB. I can take 4 of these in my trail, box. This radio, my CB radio that's already mounted, and my other ham radio, and now I can pass these radio out if I need to. So a guy says, man, I only got CB, and everybody wants to use a GMRS frequency, then fine, let's use this. I'll hand out 2 or 3 of these radios to the guys that don't have them. So that's my point. Real simple, cheap stuff to get, no big deal. You're not going to break the bank with any of it. So that's why I told that guy both. Get started with something like this, a nice radio. I used to be a Cobra guy. I've now switched to President. Again, in my video list, I've done reviews. I like President radios. I think they're better quality at this point than Cobra. Cobra's kind of fell off the game as far as CB, in my opinion. They're kind of riding on their name, old technology. President has come out with newer technologies, better things, I think. So I have switched over to President radios, really like them. So good President radio, some kind of good quality radio. I do not like those all-in-one little small ones. Give me a full-size radio every time. It's got a lot more frequencies. a lot more features and benefits to having an actual true radio like this over one of those little microphone, everything built into one kind of thing. Just don't like them. And then get you like a UV5R or something similar in the Baofeng line or whatever, and program in what you think you'll need, and then you'll be prepared for any situation that you might need. But anyway, guys, that's my take on it. One other thing I would tell you about this setup is I did a radio communications book. Make sure that you have all that handy. I've got a specific video about that book back there. So it's got all my frequencies, different user manuals that are stuck in there in plastic sleeves, whatever. In case I need to use it, I've got it at my fingertips. I can go and find it. Distance real quick, because I didn't mention that and I meant to. So a CB radio, just an average radio you're going to buy off the internet or whatever. I'm not talking one that's been, tricked out and whatever. 2 to 5 miles. Ham radio, depends on your setup, but you're talking 20, 30, 40, 50 miles. But the reason you cannot get the distance out of these compared to these a lot of times is not only the power differences, little things like that, but this one has a repeater system. Repeater systems, think of them as cell towers everywhere, but they're designed for radios. And that's why you can get that extra distance. There is no repeater system for CB radio. So these actually have those quote-unquote cell phone or radio towers, repeaters around. Depends on your area. Some areas have more than others. My areas, I'm pretty lucky. They do have a lot of repeater systems around. So that's nice to have. Some systems, some areas may not have those systems in place, but that's the difference. GMRS, there are some repeater systems around, but it's very limited. And GMRS, you're talking at 2 miles at best. You're talking line of sight kind of thing, guys. So anytime you see these radios up to 30 miles, not going to happen. I don't care if it's even under the best atmospheric conditions, everything's just perfect, still probably not going to happen. Just not going to happen. You're talking anywhere from a half a mile out to 2 miles at best with most of this setup until you get into repeater type systems where you're being able to hit those repeaters and get out. So just that's all important to remember, that none of these radios, unless they're set up correctly, are going to be able to get out without some kind of repeater system set up. Now you can buy your own repeaters. There's people that build tactical repeaters and things like that can be mounted up and stuck somewhere on top of a building, whatever. So there's videos about that too. You can look around. If you are always going to a certain area, maybe you own a big hunting preserve or something, hunting land, and you having problems communicating, get you a repeater built. You can build it yourself, put it in an ammo can, solar backup, whatever, and you can set it up for the hunting season and use it. So all that information's out there. Just kind of scour around the internet, YouTube is in particular, and all that. But anyway, guys, hope that was helpful. If you got any questions, post those below. If you got any experience with any of this, again, I'm far from an expert with any of this stuff, but I thought I'd give you my take on it. If you experts want to chime in, that's fine. Just keep it respectful. And like I said, everybody's got their own opinion, what they think is best and all that. But this right here was just kind of a brief overview of my opinion, and that's all it was, my opinion. So anyway, guys, appreciate you supporting the channel. If you would, give us a thumbs up if you like our videos. If you would share content, that's helpful to get the word out about Guns and Gear Network and what we got going on over here, which is greatly appreciated. As always, guys, like, share, and subscribe. Bring another video shortly. Have a great day.